Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside the Walking Dead. If you're here, chances are you've been on this wild ride with us through the apocalypse, and you know just how much these characters mean to us. Today, we're diving into the story of someone who's become the heart and soul of the series. Daryl Dixon. Now let's be real, when we first met Daryl, he wasn't exactly the guy you'd want to invite over for dinner. He was rough, hostile, and had a chip on his shoulder the size of Georgia. But over the seasons, Daryl transformed from a lone wolf into one of the most beloved characters in TV history. In this video, we're taking a deep dive into all 11 seasons of Daryl's journey. From his early days as Merle's volatile little brother, to his role as a leader, protector, and fan favorite, we'll explore the moments that defined him and the relationships that shaped him. So grab your crossbow, settle in, and let's talk about how Daryl Dixon became the legend we all know and love. Let's start with Season 1, where we're introduced to Daryl Dixon. Now, if you've been with us since the beginning, you'll remember that Daryl wasn't exactly the most approachable guy. He was a survivalist, a tracker, and, let's face it, a bit of a hothead. But even in those early episodes, there were glimpses of the man he'd become. Daryl's loyalty initially lies with his older brother Merle. And let's be real, Merle wasn't exactly a role model. He was loud, abrasive, and had a knack for making bad situations worse. But Daryl looked up to him, even if it meant following him down some questionable paths. When Merle is left behind in Atlanta after a confrontation with Rick's group, Daryl is furious. He's ready to storm off and leave the group behind, but something holds him back. Maybe it's the realization that he doesn't have to follow in Merle's footsteps, or maybe it's the faint hope that this group could offer him something more. One of the most telling moments in Season 1 is when Daryl steps up during the CDC incident. As the group takes refuge in the CDC, hoping for answers and a cure, Daryl's survival instincts kick in. He's the one who helps secure the building, who keeps watch, and who's ready to fight if things go south. When the CDC is about to self-destruct, Daryl doesn't hesitate to help the group escape. He could have easily looked out for himself, but instead, he risks his life to make sure everyone gets out alive. This moment is a turning point for Daryl. It's the first time we see him put the group's needs above his own. By the end of Season 1, Daryl is still a lone wolf, but he's starting to show signs of loyalty and compassion. He's not just a skilled tracker, he's someone who's willing to put himself on the line for others, even if he doesn't fully realize it yet. Now let's move on to Season 2, where Daryl really starts to come into his own. This is the season where we see him begin to find his place within the group, and it's also where we start to see the softer side of Daryl Dixon. The search for Sophia is a major storyline in Season 2, and Daryl is at the heart of it. He spends days, maybe even weeks, out in the woods, tracking every lead, following every clue. And let's not forget, this is the same guy who, just a season ago, was more interested in looking out for himself. But here's the thing about Daryl, he doesn't do things halfway. When he commits to something, he gives it everything he's got. And that's exactly what he does with the search for Sophia. He becomes Carol's rock, her support system, and in doing so, he starts to form a bond with her that will last for seasons to come. Now, Sophia's death is a turning point for Daryl. It hits him hard, harder than he lets on. For a while, he reverts to his old ways, becoming distant and hostile.
Listen to me, Olive Oil. I was out there looking for that little girl every single day.
But even in his grief, he continues to protect the group. He's the one who steps up when Rick and Shane are at each other's throats. He's the one who keeps watch, who hunts for food, who makes sure everyone stays safe. This season is where Daryl starts to realize that he's more than just Merle's little brother. He's a vital member of the group, someone they can rely on. And while he might not say it out loud, you can tell that he's starting to see the group as his family. Alright, let's talk about Season 3, where Daryl really steps up as a leader, even if he doesn't realize it yet. This is the season where we see him take on more responsibility, where he becomes not just a member of the group, but a cornerstone of it. The prison is a game changer for the group, and Daryl is instrumental in making it a safe haven. He's out there clearing walkers, securing the perimeter, and doing whatever it takes to keep everyone safe. And when Rick starts to unravel after Lori's death, it's Daryl who steps in to help care for Judith and keep the group together. Now let's talk about Merle's return. This is a huge moment for Daryl, and it forces him to confront some hard truths about his past. Merle is back, and he's just as volatile as ever. But Daryl isn't the same person he was when Merle left. He's grown, he's changed, and he's not willing to go back to the way things were. When Daryl is forced to choose between his old family and his new one, he ultimately sides with Rick's group. And let's be real.
Man, I went back for you. You weren't there. I didn't cut off your hand, neither.
That's not an easy decision, but it's the right one, and it shows just how far Daryl has come. Merle's death is another turning point for Daryl. For the first time, we see him openly grieve, and it's heartbreaking. He's lost the only family he's ever known, but in doing so, he's found a new one. And that's what makes Daryl Dixon such a compelling character. He's not just surviving, he's living, growing, and becoming the person he was always meant to be. Right, now we talk about Season 4, where Daryl truly becomes the heart of the group. By this point, he's no longer just a member of the team. He's a leader, a protector, and someone the group looks to for guidance. The prison has become a home for the survivors, and Daryl is a key part of making it work. He's on the prison council, helping to make decisions and keep everyone safe. But when the governor returns and destroys the prison, Daryl is forced to confront one of his biggest fears: losing his family all over again. After the prison falls, Daryl is separated from the group and believes they're all dead. This is one of the most emotional arcs of the season, as we see Daryl grappling with guilt, grief, and the fear of being alone. His time on the road with Beth is a turning point. Beth, who's always been one of the more optimistic members of the group, helps Daryl open up about his past. We learn more about his abusive childhood, his complicated relationship with Merle, and the pain he's carried for so long. But just as Daryl starts to let his guard down, tragedy strikes again. Beth's death is a devastating blow, and it hits Daryl harder than almost anything else. Her loss reminds him of how fragile life is in the apocalypse, and it strengthens his resolve to protect the people he cares about. By the end of Season 4, Daryl has become the emotional anchor of the group. He's not just a fighter, he's a survivor, a leader, and someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. Now, let's talk about Season 5, where Daryl solidifies his role as the group's protector. This season is all about survival, loyalty, and the lengths Daryl will go to keep his family together. The season kicks off with the group trapped in Terminus, and Daryl is right there in the thick of it, fighting to get everyone out. His bond with Carol is stronger than ever, and together they become an unstoppable team. When Beth is taken, Daryl stops at nothing to bring her home. He teams up with Carol, and their journey to find Beth is one of the most emotional storylines of the season. But despite their best efforts, Beth's death is a heartbreaking reminder of the cost of survival. Daryl's grief over Beth's death is palpable, but it also fuels his determination to protect the group. When they finally make it to Alexandria, Daryl struggles to adapt to a more civilized life. He's not used to walls, rules, or people who haven't had to fight for every meal. But even in Alexandria, Daryl's skills as a hunter and tracker make him invaluable. He's the one who keeps the group fed, who scouts for threats, and who steps up when things get tough. This season also sees Daryl forming a bond with Aaron, Alexandria's recruiter. At first, Daryl is wary of Aaron, but over time he begins to trust him. Their partnership is a reminder that even in the apocalypse, there's still room for new friendships and alliances. By the end of Season 5, Daryl has become the group's ultimate protector. He's not just looking out for himself, he's looking out for everyone, and that's what makes him such a vital part of the team. Let's move on to Season 6, where Daryl steps up as a warrior. This season is all about action, danger, and the growing threat of the Saviors. Daryl's loyalty and bravery are on full display this season. He uses an RPG to save Abraham and Sasha from the Saviors, proving once again that he's willing to do whatever it takes to protect his family. His encounter with Jesus is a game changer. Jesus introduces the group to the Hilltop Colony, and Daryl is immediately suspicious. But over time, he begins to see the value in forming alliances, even if it means taking on a new enemy. The War with the Saviors is one of the most intense storylines of the season, and Daryl is right in the middle of it. He's the one who leads the charge, who takes risks, and who puts himself on the line to keep everyone safe. But Daryl's capture by the Saviors marks the beginning of one of his darkest chapters. Imprisoned and tortured, Daryl is pushed to his limits. But even in the face of unimaginable hardship, he never loses his will to survive. By the end of Season 6, Daryl has proven himself to be one of the group's strongest and most loyal members. He's a warrior, a protector, and someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. Now let's dive into Season 7, where Daryl faces one of his toughest challenges yet. After being captured by the Saviors, Daryl is imprisoned at the Sanctuary, and it's here that we see just how strong he really is. Imprisonment is brutal for Daryl. He's tortured, both physically and mentally, but he never breaks.
Who are you?
Daryl.
Even when Negan tries to break his spirit, Daryl holds on to his sense of self. His refusal to submit is a testament to his resilience and loyalty to the group. One of the most heartbreaking moments of the season is when Daryl is forced to confront Glenn's death. Negan uses Glenn's murder as a way to manipulate Daryl, but instead of breaking, Daryl uses it as fuel to keep fighting. Daryl's escape from the Sanctuary is a turning point. With the help of Sherry, Dwight's wife, Daryl manages to break free and reunite with the group at Hilltop. His return is emotional, and it's clear that the group has missed him. This season also sees Daryl grappling with his anger and desire for revenge. He's not just fighting for survival anymore, he's fighting for justice. And while his rage sometimes puts him at odds with the group, it's also what drives him to keep going. In Season 8, Daryl's role as a warrior and protector is more important than ever. The War with the Saviors is in full swing, and Daryl is at the forefront of the fight. This season is all about action, and Daryl is right in the thick of it. He's the one leading the charge, taking risks, and putting himself on the line to protect his family. His loyalty to the group is unwavering, even when the odds are stacked against them. One of the most intense moments of the season is when Daryl drives a truck through the Sanctuary's walls, unleashing a horde of walkers. It's a bold move, and it shows just how far Daryl is willing to go to take down Negan. But Daryl's journey this season isn't just about fighting, it's also about redemption. His relationship with Dwight is complicated, to say the least. At first, Daryl is consumed by anger and a desire for revenge, but over time he begins to see that Dwight is just another victim of Negan's tyranny. By the end of the season, Daryl has proven himself to be one of the group's strongest and most loyal members. He's a warrior, a protector, and someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. A season that marks a major turning point for Daryl and for the entire series. This is the season where Daryl steps into a leadership role, even if it's not one he's entirely comfortable with. After the War with the Saviors, Daryl takes on the responsibility of leading the Sanctuary. It's a role he didn't ask for, and it's clear he'd rather be out in the wild, tracking and surviving on his own. But Daryl's loyalty to the group keeps him grounded, and he does what needs to be done to keep everyone safe. One of the most emotional moments of the season is Rick's presumed death. After a massive herd of walkers threatens the communities, Rick sacrifices himself to save everyone. His disappearance leaves a void in the group, and Daryl is one of the hardest hit. Rick wasn't just a leader, he was Daryl's brother. Their bond was one of the strongest in the series, and losing Rick forces Daryl to step up in ways he never imagined. He becomes a father figure to Judith and RJ, taking on the responsibility of looking after Rick's children. This season also introduces the Whisperers, a new and terrifying threat. The Whisperers are unlike anything the group has faced before. They're humans who wear walker skins and move among the dead. Daryl is at the forefront of the fight against them, using his tracking skills and survival instincts to protect the communities. But Daryl's journey this season isn't just about fighting, it's also about finding a sense of purpose. He's not just surviving anymore, he's living, growing, and becoming the person he was always meant to be. By the end of Season 9, Daryl has proven himself to be one of the group's strongest and most loyal members. He's a warrior, a protector, and someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. In Season 10, Daryl's role as a father figure becomes more pronounced. His bond with Lydia is particularly touching, as we see Daryl stepping into a role he never expected to fill. Daryl's empathy and understanding of Lydia's struggles reveal his own painful past, adding depth to his character. He's not just a protector, he's a mentor, someone who's willing to guide and support those who need it most. This season also sees Daryl forming a close bond with Connie. Their relationship is one of the most touching storylines of the season, and it's clear that Daryl has found someone who understands him in a way few others do. But Daryl's journey this season isn't without its challenges. His complicated relationship with Carol adds another layer of tension, as the two struggle to reconcile their differences. By the end of the season, Daryl has proven himself to be one of the group's strongest and most loyal members. He's a warrior, a protector, and someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. Finally, let's talk about Season 11, where Daryl cements his legacy as one of the most iconic characters in The Walking Dead. This season is all about leadership, loyalty, and the lengths Daryl will go to protect his family. Daryl's role in the Commonwealth is a testament to his growth as a character. He's not just a fighter, he's a leader, someone who's willing to stand up for what's right, even when it's not easy. His bond with Judith and RJ is particularly touching, as we see Daryl stepping into a role he never expected to fill. He's not just a protector, he's a father figure, someone who's willing to guide and support those who need it most. The final moments of the series are emotional as Daryl sets out to find Rick. It's a reminder that even after all these years, Daryl's loyalty to his family is unwavering. By the end of the series, Daryl has proven himself to be one of the group's strongest and most loyal members. He's a warrior, a protector, and someone who's willing to do whatever it takes to keep his family safe. Thanks for joining us as we explored all 11 seasons of Daryl Dixon's journey. From his rough beginnings as a lone wolf to his transformation into a trusted leader, Daryl's story is one of resilience, loyalty, and growth. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns of your favorite shows. And let us know in the comments, what's your favorite Daryl moment from the series? Stay tuned for more Walking Dead content, and remember, in the apocalypse, even the toughest survivors have a heart. See you next time.